A destiny-altering shift. A true story by Amir Tuchman. Most journeys begin with a spark, an abstract vision, a fleeting dream, or a burning ambition that demands careful plotting and preparation. But sometimes, life doesn't wait for your plans. Sometimes, it simply happens, unfurling before you like a map with no edges, a compass with no north. We all sail through this vast existence, each on a solitary vessel, steering through fog and storm, not always glimpsing the shore, or even knowing if one exists. As a young man, I was a practical soul, my days governed by logic. Curiosity, though, was my constant companion. I longed to see the world, to chart its mysteries, and so I became a maritime officer, circumnavigating the globe. The horizon stretched endlessly before me, and life felt like it was on course, until, without warning, destiny's invisible hand gripped the wheel and spun it hard. A mariner knows this. When fog blankets the sea and the compass fails, you're adrift, blind to your position. Yet by glancing aft at the wake trailing behind, you can hold a straight line, for a while at least. That's how my life's voyage began to feel. No grand design guided me. No charted destination beckoned. I simply moved forward, trusting the wake of my past to hint at where I was bound. Only later, peering back through the mist, did I begin to see the shape of it all. But the true pivot, the moment that cleaved my life into before and after, didn't unfold on the high seas amid crashing waves or beneath a star-strewn sky. It happened in the most ordinary of places, a bustling street in Brooklyn, New York, decades before I ever dreamed of setting this story to paper. It was a routine workday, and I was behind the wheel, navigating the humdrum stretch of Coney Island Avenue. The city thrummed around me, horns blaring, tires hissing against asphalt, when suddenly a strange sensation crept over me, elusive as a shadow on water. It was a restless unease, a gnawing anxiety that twisted into physical revolt. My hands trembled, my stomach churned, nausea clawed at my throat. I couldn't name it, couldn't pin it to anything rational. A fluke, I told myself, gripping the wheel tighter as I drove on. The feeling faded as quickly as it came, and I buried it beneath the day's demands, letting it slip from memory. 2 weeks later, I found myself on that same stretch of road. The air was crisp, the street unchanged. Yet there it was again, that sickening wave, sharper this time, more insistent. My body shook as if caught in a storm, and I scanned the surroundings, desperate for a cause. Could it be some unseen force, an electromagnetic hum from a transformer, a chemical taint in the air? But no such culprits loomed nearby. Instead, my gaze snagged on a row of modest storefronts to my left, their windows brimming with religious books and trinkets. I chuckled darkly. Could those be the source? The idea was absurd. I wasn't a man of faith. I was a pragmatist. My feet are firmly planted on the ground. Yet, as I crept past, a whisper of doubt coiled in my chest. What if, shaking it off, I drove home, letting the grind of daily life scour away the unease? But the reprieve was temporary. Weeks later, it struck again, same street, same spot, same stores, and this time it was a tempest. My hands quaked uncontrollably, and the urge to vomit nearly overwhelmed me. I was in a truck with coworkers, and pride forced me to clench my jaw and soldier on. Still, my mind raced. What's happening to me? I wondered if I was unraveling, if some mental fracture was splitting me apart. And yet, amid the chaos, a wild impulse flickered. Park the truck. Go inside one of those shops. It was madness. I wasn't religious. But the pull felt otherworldly, as if some unseen voice was murmuring commands I couldn't quite hear. Terrified, I stomped the gas and fled, the sensations dissolving in my wake. That evening, I stumbled home late, the day's weight pressing on me. For the first time, I turned to my wife, or and let the story spill out. The inexplicable episodes, the physical torment, the magnetic draw of those stores. I think I need to buy a Bible, I said, the words sounding foreign on my tongue. Or blinked, startled. She knew my skepticism, my disdain for anything cloaked in dogma. Then softly she added, "If you feel it that strongly, you should." But which Bible? I didn't want some watered-down translation. I craved the original Hebrew, the Torah, the Tanakh, the ancient teaching, prophets, and writings. My wife and I spoke Hebrew, but the biblical tongue was a different beast, an archaic echo from millennia past. Together, Orr and I resolved to return to Coney Island Avenue, to those mysterious shops that had haunted me. Before we left, I grabbed $110 in cash, more than enough for a book, I figured, but I hated being caught short. As we pulled up to one of the stores, I braced myself for the familiar onslaught of nausea and dread. But it never came. The air felt still, almost welcoming, a promising omen. Inside, shelves groaned under the weight of sacred texts, and we sifted through them patiently. Then, Orr's eyes lit up. She pointed to a box set. Not one book, but 17 volumes, the Torah's entirety split into separate tomes. My heart sank. It had to be exorbitant. I slid the box from the shelf and checked the price. It was $110. I thought it was odd because I carried that exact amount in my pocket. I showed Orr, and she smiled faintly. "Maybe it's a sign these are meant for you." It was Friday, and the shop buzzed with pre-closing urgency. We joined the line at the register, the box heavy in my arms. When our turn came, I handed over the books and my $110, the precise amount on the sticker, the only cash I had. But the cashier paused, squinting at the price tag. No, he said, voice gruff. "That's old. It's $135 now." I bristled. "The sticker says $110. You have to honor that." He wouldn't budge, insisting the price had changed. The argument stretched on, tense and futile, but my longing for those books outweighed my pride. "Fine," I muttered, pulling out my credit card to cover the difference. He swiped it. Once, twice, 3 times, then in a low, angry voice, he murmured, "The machine's fried. It's dead." I seized the moment. "I've still got the $110 in cash," I said calmly. "Take it." He glared, still upset, but then relented. The deal was done. The Torah books were mine. As we stepped into the evening air, I turned the events over in my mind. 3 times, that exact spot had seized me with inexplicable force. The price had matched my cash to the dollar, only to shift at the last second thwarted by a broken machine. Was it coincidence or was something more? I wasn't a believer then, but the strangeness clung to me like damp fog. My wife and I didn't head straight home. Instead, we detoured to Corona Park in Queens, settling by the serene lake. There, beneath the fading light, we cracked open the first volume and began to read. The ancient words stirred something deep within us, a spark igniting a flame we hadn't known was waiting. It was in the 90s. I was 30 years old, and that moment marked the genesis of a lifelong odyssey, one woven with enigmas and revelations. As years turned to decades, Orr and I began to see that this journey hadn't begun on Coney Island Avenue. Its roots stretched further back, hidden in shadows we'd never noticed, as if some unseen force had been steering us all along. The deeper we ventured, the more it felt predestined, a path etched before we'd even taken our first steps. Looking back, I can testify that this same transcendent will guided our very lives, every twist of my voyage, threading through my art expression, research, and explorations. In the beginning, I couldn't capture its full breadth, but I grasped its essence, a gift meant to be shared with those yearning for meaning beyond the mundane. Years later, I unraveled a thread woven into that fateful day. The numbers 110 and 3, recurring like a cosmic refrain, hinted at an ancient biblical sequence, 5 to 3, yielding the infinite ratio 1.66666 to infinity. It echoed in pairs like 10 divided by 6, 15 divided by 9, 20 divided by 12, 10 divided by 66, all resolving to that same enigmatic harmony. This ratio I discovered underpinned Noah's Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, the holy temple of Jerusalem, known to Noah, Moses, King Solomon, and Jesus. Its wisdom had faded into obscurity until that strange street in Brooklyn nudged me toward it. I dubbed it the Biblical Code, the dynamic harmony, the code of authenticity. It became my lodestar, illuminating misread scriptures and unveiling truths long buried. It pulses in human anatomy, resonates in music, radiates from the cosmos itself, a primal echo from the universe's dawn. This journey, sparked by a tremor on Coney Island Avenue, reshaped my soul, revealing realms beyond the tangible, where unseen forces brush against our lives, leaving indelible marks. This was my destiny-altering shift, a tale of mystery, resistance, and awakening. And though the path remains shrouded, each step whispers of purpose, of a will beyond my own, guiding me still.